In today's lesson, we're going to work on activity 1.3.4, the tool holder. So let's get started. Today, I'm actually going to create a new folder to start with, and I'm going to call this Unit 1.3. I'm going to hit Create. Once I got my new folder, I'm going to open my new folder up. I'm going to go to Create again, a new document, and I'm going to call this 1.3.4 tool holder. I'll select OK. Now today I'm actually not going to use my front plane. I'm actually going to use my top plane. So let's turn the front plane off and let's turn the right plane off. I'm going to flip it up so I can see my top plane. I'm going to select Sketch. I'm going to select my top plane and put a new sketch on it. I'm actually going to go up to my polygon tool. I'm going to select my origin. It's going to make it easier for me later on. I'm just going to make a polygon and I want a 5-sided polygon. The next thing is I want to make one of my lines horizontal. So I'm going to select this top line. I want this top line up here horizontal. I want the point down toward the bottom. I need to dimension my polygon. So I can select on this line. I'll pull it up. And I'd like that to be 1.125. There we go. I'm going to finish my sketch. Now I'm going to turn this a little bit so you can see what's happening. I'm going to go to extrude and I'm going to pick my polygon. I'm going to make my extrusion 0.0625, very small, but I'm actually going to put a taper on it. I'm going to taper it inward and I want to taper it at 45 degrees and I want to go inward. So I'm going to flip this little opposite direction icon. When we're done, we'll click on it. You can see that it kind of looks like home plate for a baseball field. All right, so now I'm going to go back to extrusion. I'm going to click on the top here, and I'm going to make that go up 0.75. And I'm going to put another taper on this one. I'm going to put a 10-degree taper. And again, I want this to go inward, so I'm going to select flip, and I'll hit my little icon, and now you can see that I have this little base-looking shape right here. Okay. Next thing is I want to put a work plane on top of this, but I want to lift it up. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go over and I'm going to turn off my top plane so I can only see my object. Okay, so now I can just see my object. I'm going to go up to this icon right here. This is plane. I'm going to select that. I'm going to select my top surface right here. And I want to offset that 0.125. And I'll select OK. And now I'm going to rotate this a little bit, and you can see that that plane sits just above my work surface. On that new plane, I'm going to put a new sketch. So let's do a new sketch. Let's flip it right at us so we can see what's going on. Now I'm going to make a circle. I'm going to start right at that origin again. I'm going to bring a circle out, and I'm going to dimension that circle. And I want that to be 1.1. Okay, so now I have my circle. I'm going to finish that sketch. I'm going to rotate this around again so you can kind of see what's happening. This time I'm going to use my loft command. I'm going to select loft. I'm going to select that circle that I just drew, and I'm going to select this top face right here. And it's going to create that nice little loft for me. I like that, so let's hit OK. I'm going to turn my plane off because I don't need to see it anymore. Excuse me. I'm going to go back up to this. I'm going to just hit extrude. I don't have to create any more sketches. Select on that surface. We'll zoom out a little bit. And I'm going to extrude that up 0.5. And I'm going to put a little taper on that one also. We're going to say, we'll leave it at 3 degrees. And I'm going to flip it inward. I want everything to go inward. Okay, looking pretty good. Now I'm going to put a couple fillets on my object. First fillet I'm going to put on is this top edge. And I want this fillet to be 0.03125. Okay, very small one. I don't want it all the way around this top edge. So I'm going to select that whole top edge and fillet that top edge. The next fillet I'm going to put in is I want it to be 0.2. I'm going to select all these little edges right here that I just created with that loft. So I'm going to select that edge. I'll select this edge. If I look at my top view, I think I see all my edges. I want that edge. I want that little edge right there and that edge, those 5. And I'll hit select. And I'm just going to kind of round those off a little bit. Okay, so you can kind of see what my shape's happening. The next time I'm going to actually flip it to the bottom. And we're going to do a new sketch. Or actually, if we're going to extrude. On that bottom, we're going to extrude it. I'm going to make this one very small again, 0.0625. And I'm going to put a taper on it. But this time, actually, I want my taper to go outward. Okay, I want it to go outward. So I'm going to leave it at 3 degrees, and I'm not going to flip it. So I'm going to create that little outward taper. Next, we're going to go back up to the top. So let's select my top view. I'm going to put a new sketch up here. I'm going to make a circle right there at the origin. That's why I start at the origin. And I'm going to dimension that circle, and I want that to be 0.25. So let's make that 0.25. I'm going to finish my sketch, and I'm going to go to extrude, and I'm going to select my circle, my little one that I just made. Now I'm going to turn this sideways. I always like to see what's going on. So you can see that sticking out. I want to remove that circle. And how far do I want to remove it? 1.325. I'm going to put a little taper on it, and I'm going to have it go 2 degrees, and I want it to go inward. So I'm going to flip it. And we'll select OK. Okay, I'm going to go back to my top. I'm going to do a new sketch up there. I'm going to flip it so I can see what's going on. I'm going to make another circle. Now, this time, I'm actually going to just hover over the center point. I'm not going to click. Okay. And I'm going to slowly bring my cursor down. And it's very faint, but you'll see a dotted line appear. That's going to tell me that I'm vertically right below my origin. So I'm just going to click and make another circle right there. I'm going to dimension that circle. And I want that circle to be 0.125 in diameter. I also want to dimension that between the 2 circles. So we're going to go back to dimension from the center of that circle to the center of that circle. Let me try to grab my dimension tool, center to center. And I want that to be 0.325. Okay, now I'm going to actually do a circular pattern. So I'm going to go up here to circular pattern. I'm going to circle that little piece right there, that little circle I just made, and it's grabbing my center point, so that's good. Now, if you look at my little mouse button over here, you're going to see that it shows like a little mouse, and you can see where the green check mark is. It wants me to click on that. So I'm going to left click once. It's going to stick that in there. But I actually wanted 5 circles. Well, that's easy to fix. Down here, you're going to see where it tells me how many circles I have, and it says 3x. That means I have 3 of them. I can just click on that, and I can type in 5. And that'll give me my 5 circles. Once I'm done with that, I'll finish that sketch. And I'm going to spin this so you can see what's happening. I'm going to go to extrude. I'm going to click on my 5 circles. There they all are. I want to remove those 5 circles. And my depth is going to be 0.5. I'm going to put another little taper in. So I'm going to select draft, and I want another 2 degree taper. And again, I want it to go inward. So I'm going to flip this around. And I'll hit my green check mark. I'm almost done. The last thing I want to do is I'm going to spin this around, and we're going to look at the bottom. And I'm going to go up to my shell command. I'm going to select shell. I'm going to select the bottom of my object. And then you can see that shells out. It's at 0.1, so I like that. I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to flip it. Now, if you see my object, you can see there's the center hole. There's the other 5 holes that go around, and there's my object. The last thing I want to do is I want to turn this red. So I'm going to come over here to my parts. I'm going to right click where it says part 1 and edit appearance. And I'm going to select red and my green check mark. And now I'm done. I can put this in isometric view, and you can see there's my nice little tool holder.